there, it's Carol with Carol B Crafts. Today we'll be making this spooky Halloween card, and I think it's adorable. Anyone would love to get this. And it is made with the Pick a Pumpkin bundle. I'm using the dies from the Pattern Pumpkins Thinlits. I'll be using the die that is for like the tree, comes from the Bouquet bunch Framelits, and that comes with a beautiful Bouquet bundle. And then there's this tiny little hello stamp that I'll be using here, comes from that bundle. And then lastly, we'll be using the Layering Circles Framelits dies for the moon. So let's get started making this adorable card. Okay, we're going to start with a basic black card base, and that's half a sheet, scored in 4 1/4 and folded in half. I'll use my bone folder to crease that fold. And then on top of that, we're going to have a panel of Night of Navy, and it's 5 1/4 by 4. Put that on with some snail. And I'll use my waxy strip to help me put it into place. Find my bottom here. There we go. And I'm just going to put this there, about an eighth of an inch all around. And that looks good. Okay, I love these colors together, the Night of Navy and black. To me, that just has that kind of spooky feel that I like to have with the Halloween card. Next, we have a piece of Early Espresso. It's 5 1/4 by 3 1/4, and it's going to form our ground at the bottom. But we are going to leave an eighth of an inch, about an eighth of an inch at the bottom. So ground isn't straight like this. So we're going to take our snips and we're just going to pretend like we are making a ground. And ground is kind of curly, little few hills and a few valleys. So there's no right or wrong way to make your ground. And then to make it more realistic, we're going to take Early Espresso ink. And I have a little eyeshadow applicator. And I'm going to just ink the edges of my dirt. And we're going to make this look more like real dirt. And also will fit in better with our spooky look for our Halloween card. And I'm even going to take and do some shading there in the center of the ground, because it's not all the same color. You're going to find that in nature. Okay, so now we have our dirt, and we're just going to put that at the bottom. And like I said, it's going to be about an eighth of an inch from the bottom. And I'm going to use my snail again to put that in place. So 1/8 of an inch. Make sure I have the bottom. Yep, that's the bottom, because I've done that before. Put it on upside down. It's no fun. Now for our tree, I didn't have a tree, so I looked to see what do I have that looks like a spooky tree. And I found that in my Bouquet bunch Framelits. It's actually supposed to be for a bunch of flowers, but I think if it could also kind of double as a spooky tree. And that comes as a bundle with the beautiful Bouquet stamps, which we'll be using later on. This tiny little hello stamp is also what we'll be using from this bundle. Now, because this tree has such delicate fine leaves, I am going to put I'm going to use a piece of Early Espresso, and it's 3 by 4 1/4, and I'm going to cut this out with my Big Shot. But before I do, I want to put some adhesive on the back, These are our adhesive sheets that we sell. You just pull back the waxy part, and then you place the piece of cardstock in there that you want to have the sticky on, and then you cut it to size. So now when I run this through the Big Shot, I'll have sticky on the back of my my image. I'm also going to trim off this excess because I don't want the sticky to get on my plate. So I'm going to go ahead and run this through my Big Shot like I normally would. And because it is a more detailed, I'm probably going to run it back 3 or 4 times just to make sure I get a good cut in my cardstock. It's really important when you're using a fine die like this that you do get your cuts really well cut, and that's why I run it back a few times. And it is sticking and it doesn't want to let go. Let go. Okay, so as you can see, I have sticky on the back now, which will make it real easy for me to adhere to my card front. And if you don't have the adhesive sheets, then you can go ahead and try to use your liquid multi-purpose glue. Will also work. So I'm trying to get those extra pieces out. And then once I get those out, I'm going to take the backing off and just peel it away. Now I notice this has little bumps in it from where I put it through the Big Shot, so I'm actually going to put it back on this piece of paper, the waxy part that was with my adhesive sheet, and I'm going to run it back through between the plates. So this is basically what I'm going to do. I have my magnetic sheet, a plastic sheet, this, and then my top sheet, and I'm going to run that through. And there, all my bumps are gone. So now I just need to take it off my plastic waxy piece of paper and decide where I want it. And I think let me check my the picture that I have. So before we put our tree on, our tree branches, I'm going to take some early espresso and my little dauber and just kind of ink up the edges here as best I can to kind of give it more of a two-tone look, so it looks more like a tree and less like one solid color. And then we're going to place it, this is going to be near the top, and this is going to be about a ½ inch from the side here. And there we have our tree. Okay, for our fence, we're going to use some of our wood textures paper, and I have some scraps here that I used. These are 5 1/4 by a ½ inch, and this is 5 1/4 by 3/8 of an inch. So the larger one's going to go on the bottom, and then we have this, which is 6 by 2 inches, and we're going to make our fence posts with the classic label punch. We're going to need 7 posts, so I'm going to put it all the way in until it stops, and then I'm going to punch, and then I'm going to bring it down just enough so that I can get another punch out of there, and then I'm going to bring it down just enough to get another punch, and then again. So you can see I was able to get 4 out of there. So I'm going to go over here and do the same thing, go in as far as I can, and then come down a little bit, come down a little bit more, and then a little bit more. I'm punching 8 even though I only need 7. So we're going to go ahead and now fence posts will be pointed on one end, but on the other end they're going to be rounded. So I'm going to take my scissors, I'm going to round all of these posts so that they look like this. Okay, so if you want to, now I'm going to go ahead and set one of these aside because I only need 7. If you want to, you can go around the edges with the early espresso. So I will do that really quick, and I'll get my early espresso, my little dauber. So just going to do this to give it more of a wood look. So I have all my pieces to my fence inked up, and it looks a lot more like real wood now. And so the bigger one will go at the bottom and the smaller one will go at the top. So this one we'll put on with some snail. And it's going to go about a 1/2 inch from the bottom of the Night of Navy. And if some of your tree sticks out, don't worry, we'll probably put a pumpkin over that and it won't show. Okay, then the smaller piece, the 3/8 inch piece, put some snail on it. And it's going to go 1/4 inch from the top of our last fence rail. So we have that. Now comes the fun part. We get to make our rickety old fence. And there isn't any right or wrong way to do this, except that you want the pointy part to be at the top, obviously. And then the only thing that you'll need to remember is over here at the edge, you want one going this way and one going that way, because you want to leave room here for your little hello. So I have the hello stamp here, and I'm just, I may go ahead and just put this one on so I can kind of see. I'm going to use glue dots to put these on. Put one at the top and one at the kind of near the bottom, and then one in the middle. So I definitely want this one going kind of not from the edge of the soil, but halfway from the soil to the fence. That's where I want my post to be, and then kind of to this angle here. And it looks like my glue dot gave way, so I'm just going to stick a little bit of glue down there underneath that to make that stay. And then I know that I want my hello here, so my next fence post is going to have to be apart enough here from that one to fit in my hello. And that looks about right. So I'm going to go ahead and put this one on with some glue dots. Okay, so I think this will leave plenty of room for my hello. Yeah, it will leave plenty of room. Alright, so the others then, I am pretty, I'm free to do whatever I want as far as they are concerned. To put those wherever I feel I want them. To make them look rickety as I can. So I'll put those all on with glue dots. Okay, so I have my rickety fence. Now we're ready to do our moon. And we're going to take, this is a piece of So Saffron 2x2, and we're going to cut a moon out of that with the smallest circle die. And that comes from the Layering Circle Framelits dies. So I'll go ahead and cut that out with my Big Shot. Okay, so I have the moon. Now, our moon is not all one color, so I'm going to take my Daffodil Delight ink and a sponge dauber, and I'm going to grab this. You can grab a piece of scratch paper if you need it. And I'm going to take my sponge dauber that we sell, and I'm just going to daub like that. And that gives it kind of a surface look to the moon. And it won't be as dry when it as dark when it dries. And while I have my dauber out, I'm just going to go around the edges too to give it a little more dimension and make it look more like a spooky moon, like that. And I'm going to put the moon on with some mini dimensionals. And it's going to go about a ½ inch from the top of the Night of Navy and a little more than a ½ inch from the side of the Night of Navy. And there we have our moon, and with the dimensionals it's sticking out a little bit, which gives it a little dimension. Now we need some stars. So I'm going to take my Daffodil Delight again and my dauber and the 2 inch by 2 inch Very Vanilla. And I'm going to take my dauber and I'm just going to go back and forth like this a little bit. I want some of the Very Vanilla to kind of show through. And this will make sense once you see what I'm going to do. So this time I'm going to get some of my adhesive sheets, and I'm going to put it's adhesive sheet backing on this. And I'll trim this out to size. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to run this through my Big Shot. All I want are the stars. So I'm going to place it where the ink is. So this is what I have. I ran it back and forth a couple times. So we're not going to use this quite yet. We're going to set this aside for now. Okay, we're ready to do our pumpkins, and these are adorable little pumpkins, and they come from the Spooky Night DSP. And this is what the DSP looks like, a piece of it. And the interesting thing is the dies, these dies here, from the Patterned Pumpkins Thinlits dies coordinate with these pumpkins. And that's how I got my pumpkins. I used these dies to cut them out. And it's really great. I think that's really nice that Stampin' Up! Did that. Now these dies come together as a bundle with the Pick a Pumpkin stamps. And these stamps coordinate with the dies as well. So I cut out my pumpkins using those dies. And then I took crumb cake ink and went around the edges of the pumpkins because even though I like that look, I wanted it to be a little dingier. So I went around with my crumb cake ink to make it so it's not quite so white or bright around the edges, and to give it more of a, well, if you've ever got pumpkins from a pumpkin patch, they usually have a little bit of dust and dirt around them, so this makes it look more authentic. So I'll do the other pumpkins. Okay, I have the other pumpkins done, and we're going to put these, the big pumpkin goes in the middle, and then these two pumpkins go on the side. Let's see, I think I like to have this one with the jagged mouth on that side, and then this one. So these will go on with glue dots, and then these, I put the little jagged tooth one next to the circle mouth of that one, and then I put the kind of an oval mouth next to the jagged mouth pumpkin. these will go on with glue dots. Not glue dots, but Stampin' Dimensionals. So we'll go ahead and get those on. So here's my glue dots. I'm going to go ahead and put probably about 4 on this one, the bigger one, and put that one in the middle and just above, about the same distance from the bottom of the early espresso as the fence posts are. I'll put this one on. And put that one there. These are just the most adorable little pumpkins, I think. You can do so much with these. Put that about right there. Okay, then we're going to put these on with the Stampin' Dimensionals. And I think I'll put 2, one on each side of them, like this. I want to make sure that they stay on really well. Put that one about here. And then this one, put this one here. Now we're almost done. We need to do our sentiment. Now I have a piece of Very Vanilla. It's 1/4 inch wide and 5 inches long. You won't need that much because we're just going to put this, slide it in between here. Hopefully I'll be able to slide that. Yeah, it looks like I can slide it. So our hello is going to be here. Now if you don't want to start out with a small piece like this, you could take a larger piece of Very Vanilla like this, and then you could just stamp at the bottom and then trim it. I'm going to use my Stamp-A-Majig, so that will make it easier for me. And I find my snail. Here it is. I'm going to put just a little bit of adhesive on the ends to hold this in place while I stamp it with my Stamp-A-Majig. Now my Stamp-A-Majig is, I have my plastic piece and my arm, and we're going to stamp in Cajun Craze. So I'll get my Cajun Craze out. I have my Hello stamp from the Beautiful Bouquet dies, Beautiful Bouquet stamps, and I'm just going to do that. Now I can put this over my Very Vanilla, put my arm in place. Just double check that because I think it moved. Okay, that looks about right. I'm going to go straight down and up. It's a little bit off, so I think I'm going to try that again. Over here I have some extra room, so put that there and then put my Stamp-A-Majig in place. Ink up my stamp. There, that looks much better. Okay, so I'm going to pull this off, and I don't need all of this obviously, so I'm going to trim some of it off. I'll start by trimming off the adhesive because I don't want that to stick. So I trimmed off some on both ends, and now I'm just going to put this in here and try to get a feel for where I need to trim it off. So let's see, probably I'm just going to lay it on top there and there. I'm going to put this on with some glue. That way I can slide it around. And I don't need a lot, just a tiny, tiny bit. So maybe a few dots. Had to get my glue working. It's decided it doesn't want to work today. So I've got like 4 tiny little dots there. I might not even need that much. And you know, I was going to, and I forgot, which happens a lot. I'm going to put some pumpkin pie around the edge of that. It might be a little hard to do it. I'm going to take a dauber and put pumpkin pie here on the edges. So if you're doing this, do it before you put the glue on instead of like me. Okay, so now comes the fun part. Trying to get this in place. Might be better to go this direction. Go that direction and then slide it over till you get it there. Okay, so now it has the hello. Now we're ready to make our leaves for our tree. And the leaves are going to be made from Cajun Craze and pumpkin pie. And I'm using the leaf die from that same pattern pumpkins thinlits dies. I'm going to run this through twice with the pumpkin pie and once with the Cajun Craze. Okay, I didn't give you dimensions because I'm just using some scrap paper. So scrap pumpkin pie and Cajun Craze. So once I've got those cut out, I'm only going to use the smaller leaves. You could save those for something else, the bigger ones. And I also want to take my pumpkin pie, and if you don't have pumpkin pie, that's fine. You might want to use a different color or just not use anything at all. I'm just going to kind of distress these leaves a little bit to make them more realistic. And then I have Cajun Craze here to do the Cajun Craze leaf. And we know that in the fall, most of the leaves are gone from the tree, so that's why we only have 3 leaves, because that's all that's left. So we're going to put our leaves on with glue dots, and it's only going to take about 1 glue dot. I'm going to put it on the back. Now, just find a place, like there's this little stem right here. That's where I'm going to put this leaf, as though it's on there, and then I'm just going to curl the leaf up. Now you might want to curl some back, you might want to curl some forward, because leaves are, you know, they're curled, they're not straight. Now the Cajun Craze leaf, I'm going to put a glue dot on it and put it on this one piece right there, and hopefully it will look like a real leaf. And then this last leaf, and you could put another leaf or 2 if you wanted, if you want something more. It's going to go right here as though it's falling off of that branch. Alright, we have our leaves in place. Now we're just about done, but it's going to be fun to have these stars. And stars are all not on one color, and they're kind of bright, so I didn't want to use yellow cardstock. I wanted to use very vanilla cardstock that had been kind of had some dye on it, ink, to make them more realistic. And they actually have a little bit of dimension to them. Now this is going to be fun. Basically take your nail or something sharp, or a paper piercing tool, which to me is it's just a necessary for paper crafting. It's not even an option in my book, but if you don't have one, pick one up. I think they're like $4. Definitely worth every penny. So once you get that backing off, you can place these stars anywhere you want. But I'm going to follow the pattern that I had before. Let's see, I'm going to put one here and this little crevice there, right here. I'm definitely going to put one over here by the fence post so we have a little balance. So I'm not going to have you watch me put all of these stars on, but so feel free to put them where you like, or try to follow my pattern. Okay, so I have all my stars in place, and I didn't put too many stars close to the moon, because if you notice with stars, the closer they are to the moon, the less visible they are. So that's why most of my stars are over in here. But if you wanted to put more stars, you could. Okay, we're ready for the inside sentiment, and you can put anything in there you want. I am going to use very vanilla cardstock, and it is 4 by 3 1/4, and it's going to go on top of a Night of Navy panel 4 1/4 by 3 1/2, and that's going to go there. And I think I'm going to stamp Happy Halloween, and this Happy Halloween comes with this adorable cat punch. Okay, I'm not sure when my camera died. I bought a new camera and I need to charge the battery and start using it. So I'm going around the edges of this Very Vanilla with pumpkin pie, just to give it a little bit of dimension and make it look a little bit spookier. I might not have wanted to do quite that much, so now I got to make the rest of it match. Okay, that looks like that matches. And then we'll put that on our Night of Navy base. So this was 4 1/4 by 3 1/2, and this was 4 by 3 1/4. And in case my camera didn't have it, the Happy Halloween is from the Spooky Cat stamps that comes as a bundle with the kitty cat punch. So we'll put this on our panel of Night of Navy, and I'm going to use my waxy strip, because if I don't use it, I mess up. Okay, so there's our panel. Put that on the inside of our card. Put it on the right side. Don't want to put it on the wrong side. Okay, and that looks about right. Alright, so we have our card, our Halloween card, and I think that's just an adorable card for children or adults. Anyone would love to get this spooky Halloween card. Thanks for watching, and if you want to check out my blog, www.carolbcrafts.com, I have some awesome customer rewards. Just use that current host code that you find on my blog when you're doing your shopping, and I will send you, you can choose from my current class or some of the DSP reward packages that I offer. Thanks again, and have a spooky Halloween. Bye now.